we are recording. We're good to go. This is number 2 of Ask the Loan Officer. And like I said before we started recording, this is going to be all about the Purchase Power Program. That movement launched last Monday. As you all know, loans come in many different shapes and styles, and it all depends on the client and their situation, because situations are, of course, situational. So this can be a big option for some borrowers. And we're going to kind of talk about why. We're going to kind of go into the many different things that this loan and this option can provide, because just like with anything, there's lots of little branches that this can take. So we're going to move on. Basically, there's in the Purchase Power Program, there's 2 main paths that they can take. One is called the forward, and 2 is, of course, the cash buyer option. The cash buyer option is a lot easier and simpler, and we'll go over that after the forward. But we're going to start with the forward option. This is the one that, in my opinion, I think is going to make the biggest difference when it comes to this Purchase Power Program. And that's because what this allows the buyer to do is they can buy the house that they're looking to buy before they, quote unquote, sell their current house, right? So you wouldn't have to use a home sale contingency. This would also, if they don't want to deal with the hassle of going through showings and having people in their house and do all of that mess, they can get out of that. They can, still be in their house, hang out, and we'll get into the fees and everything about that. Also, they don't have to deal with, buyers flaking or volatility, because in their mind, their portion of the sale is done up front, right? So they don't have to deal with the official sale of the house. And then the biggest thing, at least for us, is it can improve their DTI, and it can make a big difference in borrowers that need to nix that DTI in order to qualify for that house. Again, going back to the home sale contingency and all of that jazz. So basically the way this one works is on an appraised value. What the company that we partnered with is called Zoom Casa. And the way this works is Zoom Casa will actually come in and purchase the house for 70% of the appraised value, up to 70% of the appraised value. And, the client will get that 70%. They can buy the next house and be good, and they can pay off everything they need to. And then Zoom Casa, so we'll actually go to the next slide where it talks about the 2 different parts of this. So like I said, Zoom Casa buys the buyer's house for 70% of the property value. It is now Zoom Casa's house. The buyer has the 70%. Now, once the seller moves out, Zoom Casa then prepares their home. They have home preparers, they have stagers, they have cleaners, they have contractors that they can do repairs if they need to. All of these things are going to be, if they need to be done, they won't be done. Zoom Casa doesn't make that decision. The buyer does. So if repairs are needed on the house, then Zoom Casa would ask and be like, hey, do you want us to do these repairs? We'll take it out of the final cut if you want. And Zoom Casa can do it. The buyer doesn't have to worry about it. They don't have to plan it, nothing. But then after all that's done, Zoom Casa then resells the home for, appraised value, market value, whatever. They get the best price. This is where the seller's agent, you guys, you are still part of it. You still get the sale of the house. It doesn't count as 2 sales. Okay. So just like for us, it doesn't count as two sales. This first 70% is just kind of like in the process. The main final sale is the total sale of the home. And then this is where Zoom Casa also pays the rest of that 30% back to that borrower, minus, of course, their fees and cost and anything else that happened. So far, does that make sense to everyone? Perfect. So, if I remember right, yes. So this is where everything will make even more sense. So in this example, the value of this home is $1 million. We're going to go with, it just makes it easier to do round numbers. And they have 40% of that mortgage left, so 400,000. So we come in, so this is the future home that they want, 1.1. And oh, the purchase price is 1.4. Yeah. They want a down payment of 280 regardless. So this is where the forward option comes in. So Zoom Casa comes in and they buy the house, quote unquote, for 70% of the value of the home. And so they pay off. So this client is able to pay off that 400. Closing costs for this sale is, and then they are left with 296. So they net in this first section 296 that they can put towards this down payment, that 20% down payment on their new home. So they're able to do that. So they can just go straight over to the new home. And now Zoom Casa will then turn around and move into resale of that second portion. And they will resale. They sold it for 1.064 million. And then this is where they take out their fees. So commissions and closing costs. So they do have, like, if the client needs to stay in the home, then it costs 0.7% a month for them to do that. Oh, no. It's however long Zoom Casa holds the house is part of the cost. So if whether the client stays in the house or they move out, if Zoom Casa holds, that house for 1 month until it sales, then it costs 0.7%. But then they also have some other fees like the concierge fee. If you want repairs done, all of that gets added to this final sale. So then they reimburse their unlock fee of that 700 that they did over here. And then this client also wanted pre-sale home prep. So they had home preppers come in and stage and do all of that. And it was 15 grand to do that. So after all of that, after the realtor gets paid, us as the lender gets paid, all of the other fees get done, they still get on this second sale 249, 250, and that goes right back to the buyer. So all in all, the buyer would net 545, 750. So in general, if you do the math on that, that's really not bad because they paid off their original loan of 400 plus the 545, 750 is what they netted after everything. So 945, 750 is what they, after costs and fees, is what they get out of their house. But now they're in their new home that they were able to get without having any issues. Any questions, comments, concerns so far? Nope. All right. So the next one, this is where it gets a whole lot easier. But in my opinion, this is also where this one is going to be a lot harder for most buyers because this is a great option. And this could be a huge game changer if, unfortunately, with this one, the client has to have 20% tangible deposit to utilize this option. Essentially, the way it works is this, of course, would be Zoom Casa coming in, cash buying whatever property that client is looking at, and then the client would get a mortgage through us from Zoom Casa. Like they would then buy it from Zoom Casa the same way. It's just a reverse option. Instead of the buyer selling their house and them buying their house over on the side and going that way, they already have a house they want. They essentially cash buy. Zoom Casa comes in, cash buys this house, and then the buyer buys that house from Zoom Casa without any, issues. You don't have to worry about, any other offers or anything. Zoom Casa will only sell it to the buyer. But the downside, like I said, is the client has to have 20% of that house to give Zoom Casa as a deposit. Now, it doesn't cost 20% of that house to do this option. They just have to have the tangible deposit so that if they were to back out or anything like that, then they would have something to hold on to, right? So 20% they give to Zoom Casa, they go through the loan process. Now, from this 20% here, they can actually use money of that 20% on their down payment. So say they were planning on doing a 5 or 10% down payment anyways, as long as they have the 20% in total to do this option, they can use the 10% out of this 20% to put towards their down payment. And then once the loan closes, after costs and fees to do this option, which, on this one is typically between 3 and 5% on top of the closing costs, then they would get the rest of the deposit back. So they don't actually lose any extra money except for the 3 to 5% cost to do this cash buyer option. But they unfortunately do have to still have that 20% in order to even do this option. Does that make sense to everybody? So that's why, at least in my opinion, this is, while a great option, going to be a little bit harder for at least our area. But I mean, it's definitely there. And that's kind of just a really quick rundown of the purchase power program. It can be massive for buyers, and with prices being so high, having that availability to knock out some DTI from the current house to where they can just move over to the new house. They don't have to worry about a contingency and go on with their day. I think that can definitely be big. So that is basically going to be it. We are open for questions. Anything else? It doesn't have to be about the purchase power program. If you have questions, this is, of course, our weekly Ask the Loan Officer. So if you have anything to ask us at all, feel free to chime in. Let me stop sharing. Stop share. And we're back. So yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead and unmute. Ask away. If not, this will, of course, be recorded, or it has been recorded, and it will be up on our YouTube page. So you can always recheck in there. I see you, Chuck. You're looking fantastic. Having a grand old time.
Hey, I have a question.
Yes, who said that?
That Alan.
Alan. Okay.
The ball.
Yeah. So, as you know, I'm using my new phone. And I'm getting used to it. And out of my 8-hour trip, my wife decided to stop in the other car at a rest area.
Okay.
So I was just in the bathroom. Was it being recorded? Did you hear me?
Oh, yes, all of it. All of it. We
that's not
heard
the truth.
everything.
And I'm still trying to work to figure out this new phone. Did I turn the video off and the sound?
You have the, yes, yeah, you had everything
Okay.
off.
We saw it all, Al. We saw it all.
You didn't see much. You didn't see much, but all right. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the bathroom, but I don't know how to like work this new phone I have.
We're sending a copy over to Casey right now.
Okay. Just trying to brighten y'all's day. That's all. Just trying to brighten your day.
Well, you certainly did.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you weren't with me in the bathroom. Thank you. I'm going back on mute.
All right. Well, there's no questions. You know us. You know how we roll. You can always shoot us a text, shoot us an email.
What does the first option cost the seller in total?
In total, it ranges, on average, it's 2.5 to 4 to 3.5% in total. But like I said, that can vary depending on if they want to do fixes, if they want to do the staging or anything else. They kind of have this little a la carte option that you can add on. And none of those options have to be paid up front. They all come out of that final sale. So even if the client has to stay in the home for, say, 1 or 2 months while the sale is going on, and then they move over to their new house, those fees and everything else will be added into that final sale of the home. So none of it is paid up front, if that makes any sense. Did I answer your question, Pam?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
That wasn't a Pam question.
Oh, who was that? Dawn?
This is Jan and Chelsea.
Oh. Oh, I had you on another screen. I am so sorry. How can I make that bigger? Gallery, maybe? There it goes. Now I can see everything. All right. Well, is that all the questions now? Going once, going twice, and that's all, folks. All right. Yes. So, as you all know, we have our socials. You can see our silly little videos that we post on Instagram and Facebook. So be sure to follow us on there. And you can always give us contact information. Well, I'm sorry, you all have our contact information. And you can always give us a text, give us a call, shoot us an email if you have any other questions or if anything comes up. So with that, I think that's going to be the end of this awesome little weekly call that we do. And we will see y'all next week. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
All right.